welcome to Talk Time. My guest today is Ladakh-based educator, innovator and activist whose video appeal last fortnight to boycott Chinese goods in the wake of the face-off between Indian and Chinese troops along the border has gone viral and has become almost a nationwide movement. And now, after the brutal killing of 20 Indian soldiers by the Chinese military men, Mr. Wangchuk's call for economic sanction against China by the people of India has stirred the imagination of the masses. Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, welcome to Talk Time.
Thank you, and good wishes from the mountains of Ladakh.
Thank you very much indeed. Before we begin the interview, let us listen in to what Mr. Sonam Wangchuk had said in two videos that he had released last fortnight. Let us listen in to some excerpts of the video.
अगर हमारे देश के 130 करोड़ लोग और 3 करोड़ जो भारतीय बाहर के देशों में हैं, सब मिलकर भारत में और बल्कि दुनिया भर में एक बॉयकॉट मेड इन चाइना मूवमेंट या अभियान शुरू करते हैं, तो आज दुनिया भर में चीन के प्रति रोष है. हो सकता है कि सारी दुनिया साथ आए और इतने बड़े स्तर पर चीनी व्यापार का बॉयकॉट हो कि चीन को जिसका सबसे बड़ा डर था वही हो. चीनी लोगों से हमें कोई समस्या नहीं, बहुत अच्छे लोग होते हैं, मेरे बहुत दोस्त हैं. हमें समस्या है तो चीनी सरकार से, तंत्र से, जो कि विस्तारवादी है, जो कि शोषण करती है, उनसे समस्या है. चीन के हर बात पे दुनिया खामोश रहती है, तो ये एक वेकअप कॉल है जो हम दे रहे हैं. देखिए, सरकारों के बंदिशें होती हैं, प्रोटोकॉल्स होती हैं, व्यापार बहुतरफा होती हैं, तो इसलिए सरकार के लिए शुरू में मुश्किल हो सकता है. मगर अगर जनता करे, जनता की अपनी मर्जी है, चॉइस है, कस्टमर इज़ द किंग, तो कोई दुनिया की ताकत उसे पूछ नहीं सकती कि आप ये क्यों नहीं खरीद रहे हैं, वो क्यों खरीद रहे हैं. वैसे भी हम सरकार के लिए क्यों इंतज़ार करें. जब लोग कुछ करने लगे तो सरकार वैसी ही नीतियां बनाती हैं जो लोगों की, जनता की मूड होती है. अगर हम ये चीन के सामान को भी गुनाह से जुड़ी समझे, जैसा कि मैंने कहा इसके पीछे अत्याचार है, तो 1-2 साल में सारे दुनिया के देश और अपने हमारे देश में ऐसी चीज़ें बनने लगेंगी कि हमें इसका याद भी नहीं होगा कि हम ये नहीं कर पाएंगे, ऐसा सोचते थे. तो इसलिए मैं कहता हूं कि बॉयकॉट मेड इन चाइना, सॉफ्टवेयर इन ए वीक, हार्डवेयर इन ए ईयर, और फिर हार्डवेयर में भी फिनिश्ड प्रोडक्ट्स, नॉन एसेंशियल्स इन ए ईयर, कंपोनेंट्स, रॉ मटेरियल्स एंड एसेंशियल प्रोडक्ट्स इन 2 years. हम योजनाबद्ध तरीके से चल सकते हैं.
First of all, did you expect the killing of our soldiers by the Chinese, and what thoughts crossed your mind when you first heard about the incident that happened on 15th of June in the heights of Ladakh, which is your home?
Yeah, so I was returning from some glaciers and I got the news very late in the night. I was really shocked and disturbed, to say the least. It was like a big catastrophe because this hasn't happened yet, killings, and it can become a full-scale war. And if who knows? For all you know, it could become a nuclear war. So I was very, very disturbed.
All right. Okay, now you see, we saw Ladakhis coming out of their homes to honor and show their respect to our martyred soldiers when the bodies were brought to the Leh hospital. What does this indicate?
Well, people here have a great goodwill for the nation and see the activities of the Chinese regime over many decades, from the times when they annexed our friendly, peaceful neighbor, Tibet. And then over years, they have been intruding into our territory where our herders, shepherds, raise Kashmir Pashmina goats. So these people have been losing their pastures, and people really are upset with China. And when, due to this border incident, some of our soldiers were martyred, people here felt very, very bad and disturbed. And the least they could do was to pay homage and tribute to those martyrs.
Absolutely. You see, now, Mr. Wangchuk, we are not talking of war as a response. Therefore, would you again say that the best way to respond to the Chinese behavior and misadventures is by truly boycotting Chinese products and hitting its economy? This is the call you had given to countrymen a fortnight ago.
Yes, because China is looking for military troubles, because they have their own internal problems with the people who are frustrated with this regime for how they handled COVID and how they damaged the economy. Jobs are gone, businesses are shut. So they are not doing it to distract attention, and they are looking for military response. And therefore, rather than falling into their trap, we should surprise them with another kind of response which they were not expecting and which actually hurts them much more than military response. And that is economic response at the citizens level through wallets, as I say.
But you are convinced that that kind of a response is actually feasible and possible?
Depends. If people are awake and alive and see what is happening and know what China is, then the same wallets that made China in the last 30 years can bring it down also. So it is up to the citizens to understand and act consistently for 2 or 3 years. And yes, it is very, very possible, but it won't happen by bursts of emotions that we see to come out and break televisions and burn clothes. That's not the response I'm thinking of. We should have more like a middle path response where we weigh our actions of buying new things with our wallets and do not patronize a regime that is based on exploitation of its human beings, human rights exploitation, environmental exploitations, and economic. So if people understand that and carry it on, definitely it will have effects. It's feasible. And you saw effects when Global Times, the mouthpiece of China, started saying it cannot have effects. Why do they need to say this if it doesn't have any effect? Similarly, they've been saying you should not connect boycott to the border incident. Of course, we'll decide what we connect, and they are, under this influence, and therefore they're saying this. So we see everywhere that it's having an effect. As for feasibility, we may have some inconvenience, just as we have withdrawal symptoms when we try and come out of addiction. So Chinese goods have become kind of addiction for us. It will take us a year or two, but then after that, it will be very, very good health and freedom finally.
From the mountains of Ladakh, when you gave that call, that fantastic video call which you did you expect, that this will become a nationwide movement? Did you expect such an overwhelming response from your countrymen, north, south, west, east?
So yes, I had both kind. I was ready for both. I was thinking maybe it has no effect at all, or maybe it takes to the nation's imagination and the time and does become a national movement. And it did, and a little more than what I expected. Yeah.
Absolutely. That is the power of the visual medium, Mr. Wangchuk. You see, Now, do you now expect some kind of a systematic national movement against Chinese goods, against Chinese investments in India, and against Chinese infra companies being awarded contracts in India? Because people movement is fine. Do you expect some kind of a systematic movement now?
I don't know. It will depend. Seeing all these frenzy of breaking things doesn't impress me. You know, a day or two of overreaction and then you forget. No. So it should be sustained and systematic, definitely. We'll have to see. I hope that people do it long term rather than just short term bursts of energy. So we'll have to see. I hope that it will pick up, and I'm already seeing that media from other countries are already interested in what India is doing, and who knows, it can become a global culture.
Yeah. On that note, I'll go for a short break, but don't go away. I'll be right back in conversation with Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, educator and innovator from Ladakh. Welcome back. I'm in conversation with Ladakh-based educator and innovator Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, who had given a call for boycott of Chinese goods. Now, already in Northeast India, in border states like Arunachal Pradesh, people are protesting on the streets and making bonfire of Chinese goods. So that means it is making an impact, as I said, north, south, west, east, everywhere in the country. Arunachal is also, as you are very well aware, is a border state having a long border with China.
Yeah, so that's good, but just that it has to be sustained. I'm saying it's not a movement of 3 days, it's a movement of at least 3 years. So please ask people if they can sustain it for 3 years. If you give the time it needs, then I can almost guarantee that there'll be reforms in China.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, people were perhaps waiting for someone like you to show them the way, and that is what has happened. Mr. Wangchuk, you see, the Indian Railways have already cancelled the large contract awarded to a Chinese company in 2016, and directives have been issued to the state-owned BSNL not to use Chinese components during upgradation process. Now, do you think this boycott of China should be a part of our government policy now, particularly after the Galwan incident?
Well, in sectors where it is to do with defense and information security, yes, maybe. But otherwise, I think it should largely be a people's movement. If it is governments, governments are bound by international protocols like WTO and so on. We don't want to look like an abnormal nation. The best would be that they can't even complain. They can't complain because it's not the government, it's the people who are doing, citizens who are doing. The only way out will be to please the citizens, customers. Customer is the king, as they say. So they'll be brought to their knees to behave with customers as traders do if they want our patronage. And therefore, I don't count so much governmental actions as much as citizens. If citizens' actions happen, governments will on their own take measures that are in keeping with the mood of the citizens. But if it is only governments that we look at, then nothing will work.
You see, there is a school of thought, some may describe them as China apologists. This school of thought says that boycotting China will adversely impact on our own economy. What's your thought on this?
As I said, it's like treating yourself for an addiction. So for a year or so, you may have some inconveniences, but that's how it is. Any treatment, you go for cancer treatment, you have some painful surgeries so that you will be happy and healthy again. So similarly, you may have little bit of inconvenience because industry will take time to adapt itself. But in 1 or 2 years, all the industries will get out of Chinese components, Chinese products, and will source their things from other countries and from definitely our own country. So it is the kind of inconvenience that you are ready to take for the larger good and the longer run.
Absolutely, absolutely. Now, Mr. Wangchuk, you have been emphasizing on the Made in India concept. Yes, that will be great as if, and if that happens, it will generate employment. But, obviously, and I know that this cannot be expected to happen overnight, and many would raise the pricing issue. How do you look at the road ahead?
So this I see as a great opportunity for Indian entrepreneurs and enterprises. Nowhere people give them on a platter their patronage. Here the nation is seeking from them good products, competent products, and it's for them a great opportunity and a challenge to rise to the occasion. But on the consumer side, I would add that they should start seeing things not only with the price tag. The Chinese things may be a little cheaper, but there is a reason why they are cheaper. They are produced with great overlook of human rights, of environmental degradation, exploitation. They are made cheap with government subsidies and all kinds of manipulations to kill the industry in the countries. So you have to understand that even if it looks juicy and delicious, it's a bait. It's a bait that will enslave you. And therefore, it's better to take what is normal and natural and maybe not as cheap as Chinese products. Also from the ethical point of view, we don't buy things just because they are cheaper. There could be products using child labor. We say no to those products and soon child labor goes away, more or less. Similarly, we say no to products with cruelty to animals, even if they are cheaper. So similarly, we should put our ethical glasses also and say that things coming out of China violate human rights, environmental codes, and business ethics, because they are manipulative ways they are produced. So we should not just go by price tags alone.
Now, as a resident of Ladakh, you know the area's geography very well. Why do you think the Chinese are so interested in the Galwan Valley? The general argument is that the Chinese are worried about the building of infrastructure like roads in the area by India.
So they are bullying. They want to build anything to reinforce their own presence along the border. But anytime India does something within its border lines, they raise objections. So it's outright bullying, and it should not be acceptable, and people should respond with military and with citizens' power.
Now, apart from demonstrating, as you say, their wallet power by boycotting Chinese goods, what kind of a role do you see for the millions of Indians, including your fellow Ladakhis?
So I think this path that the citizens can take, the economic sanctions, personal economic sanctions, is a great way, but it should be redoubled also, not just at personal level. We should also lobby with other people and groups to do the same, and not just our own country, but other countries who have similar problems with China, so that their citizens also come along, so that it becomes a global movement. And that's when China will see its worst fears coming true, which is an uprising within China once economy goes down. The Chinese citizens are somewhat like bonded laborers. Only thing that is keeping them quiet is the continuous flow of income, money. Once that is affected because of our wallet power, they'll have nothing stopping them from an uprising.
Mr. Wangchuk, I'll now not take much of your time. You
Thank
see,
you.
what do you have
Thank
to,
you.
what do you
I
have,
think-
do you have anything to say to the political parties and the political class in India?
Well, I will say that in times of crisis, everybody should come together. We may have our differences, and it is natural. But in times of national crisis, people should act like one organism. And in our history, whenever we failed, it was because of our internal rifts. So we should be careful not to let that happen, whether we are north or south or east or west or left or right or green or orange or whichever color, we should stay united.
Thank you. Mr. Sonam Wangchuk, thank you very much for speaking to me.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And all the very best to all of you.